McGinnis, line stop, on, shoot, short, no goal.
Final game before Christmas. They're in San Francisco to take on the Golden State Warriors tonight. Tip-off is coming up at 5:30. We are going to be with you all the way up until 4:30 before our good friend, the principal, Curtis Long, takes over for your Trailblazer pregame show. If you want to jump on board, you can do so. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can find me on Twitter at Chad in Rip City. And, of course, join us on our YouTube live stream. Go to youtube.com and plug in our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you'll find all the links to our live and local shows there, including Blazer Game Day and Fifth Quarter. And be sure to click subscribe to the page, 503-248-0620. Coming up on the show, we will step into the coach's corner and hear from Chauncey Billups following the Blazers' 1-point loss to the Wizards. We'll definitely get into what's the scoot. For the latest update on Scoot Henderson, I'll give you a scoreboard report around the NBA, the NFL, and college football bowl season. And we'll set the table for you as the Blazers get ready for a road game tonight against the Warriors and a chance to maybe get something to feel good about as they get ready to celebrate Christmas with their families. All right, 503-248-0620. Warriors and Blazers from Chase Center in San Francisco coming up at 5:30 here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. I would like to take a moment to say thank you to each and every one of you for your support and for listening to us throughout the course of the Trailblazer season, and I wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. So let's take a look back at the game against the Wizards on Thursday. The slow starts continued for your Portland Trailblazers. They didn't listen to a darn thing that Chris and I told them before the game on Thursday. The Wizards raced out of the gate, scoring the first 8 points of the game, and then they built a 20-7 lead with 6:43 left in the period after a three-pointer from Kyle Kuzma. The Wizards then pushed their lead to 14 at 31-17 on an 11-7 run after another three-pointer from Kuzma. The Blazers did close the quarter on a 7-2 run, capped off by a couple of free throws from Blazers rookie Scoot Henderson. The Wizards were up 33-24 at the end of one. So, once again, slow start, bad defense, Blazers in a hole. In the first quarter, the Wizards were led by Kuzma, who had 14. Washington shot 54% from the field and forced 5 Blazers turnovers. Portland connected on just 37% of their shots in the first. They were led by Anthony Simons with 8, and DeAndre Ayton was 6 points and 4 boards in the first. The Wizards opened the second quarter on a 25-19 run to push their lead to 58-43 with 5:26 left in the first half after a Tyus Jones 3. The two teams would go back and forth the rest of the way. Washington took a 67-54 halftime lead. Once again, the Blazers defense struggling in that first half. In their last 5 games, this is a troubling trend. The Blazers have surrendered 69, 74, 55, 61, and 67 points against Washington. All of those point totals in the first half. I mean, it's really hard for this team to dig a hole and get yourself back into the game. Not the intensity or the focus level that Coach Billups has been talking about over the last couple of weeks. This team doesn't have enough talent or ability to be able to get down double digits on a regular basis and have an opportunity to win the game. They came close, but again, you have to expend a lot of energy to overcome those type of deficits, and it's difficult to get over the hump. In that first half against Washington Thursday, the Blazers were led by Ayton. He had 14, Grant 13, and Simons with 12. The Blazers shot 41% in the first half and in just 5 of 17 from three-point range. The Wizards were led by Kuzma, who led all scorers with 18. He was 7 of 12 shooting in the first half. Tyus Jones with 10, and Daniel Gafford and Jordan Poole each with 9. Now, the third quarter, I thought, was entertaining with both teams scoring the same number of points, 26. But it was Kyle Kuzma and the Wizards who really did a good job of getting their team off to a good start.
Gafford has it blocked. Looked like it might have hit the backboard first. No whistle. Here's Poole on the other end. Scoops it to Kuzma. Slams it in, and the Wizards lead by 18. Chauncey Billups calls time. 7:42 to play in the third. Things are getting out of hand as the Wizards on a 9-0 run after the Blazers had cut it to 9.
The Wizards pushed their lead to 18 at 85-67 with 6:28 remaining in the period. And that came after another 3 from Tyus Jones. But the Blazers had a response to keep the game within striking distance. A 13-5 Portland run cut the deficit to 10 at 90-80 on a Grant three-pointer. But Danilo Gallinari hit a 3 to push the lead back to 13 as they headed into the fourth quarter. At the end of 3, Grant and Ayton each had 16. Simons led the way with 19. Kuzma was leading the way for the Wiz with 25. Tyus Jones had 16 at the end of 3 on 6 of 7 shooting. Now, in the fourth quarter, another 3 from Tyus Jones pushed the Wizards' lead to 14 at 108-94. And this is when the Trailblazers started to make their move. Portland capped off a 17-4 run on a floating jumper from Malcolm Brogdon and a technical free throw from Simons. And then Anthony Simons, who was starting to catch fire, had a chance to even up the game at 114.
Inbound to Simons. Screen comes from the left. Takes it to the wing. 3 for the Tides. Buries it! We are all even at 114. First tie of the game. 39 for Anthony Simons. A new season high. 1:38 to play in the fourth.
All right, Kuzma put the Wizards on top 116-114 on a bucket with 1:23 remaining. With less than 1 minute remaining, DeAndre Ayton missed 2 point-blank shots off a couple of offensive rebounds and putbacks, and then he had a shot blocked by Gafford. After that, Grant went to the foul line, making just 1 of 2, cutting the deficit to 116-115 with 31 seconds remaining. Kuzma then pushed the lead back to 118-115. He went 2 of 4 from the foul line during that stretch, and the Blazers once again turned to Anthony Simons, who made a quick decision.
Brogdon will get it in from the near side. The Blazers do have a timeout remaining. Gets the ball into Jeremy Grant. Waits for Simons, gives it to Ant. Ant on the drive. He goes up and dunks it in. 7.6 remaining, 1-point game. Wizards take a timeout.
All right, the Wizards took the timeout. On Washington's inbound, Matisse Thybulle was called for a foul, but after a coach's challenge from Billups, the call was reversed and it forced a jump ball. The Blazers controlled the jump. They called timeout with 5.1 seconds remaining. Billups called time to set up the final play. He drew it up for Grant, who missed on a driving shot. It bounced off the rim as time expired, and the Blazers dropped a tough one. Final score from Moda Center on Thursday, 118 to 117. And Chauncey Billups, after the game, talked about that last play.
It was the same play we just ran before that when Ant got the dunk coming downhill, and several options on the play, and Jeremy just caught it and just kind of went one-on-one, which, I got to live with that. He's one of our best players. He's a great one-on-one player. He went on. The only thing that I would say, I wish he would have went a little sooner, just in case he missed it. We got a chance for a tip back, but it took a little too long to get there. But obviously, it was a play that we ran before where we got the ball to Ant. He got downhill. We just didn't get it there.
All right. Anthony Simons scored a game-high 41 points. He was on fire. 15 of 28 shooting. He was 7 of 14 from three-point range. Ayton added 23 points and 16 rebounds. And Grant scored 20. Portland connected on 14 of 30 from beyond the arc. They committed 16 turnovers, leading to 21 points for the Wizards. The Blazers shot 45% from the field for the game. Kuzma led the Wiz with 32. He had 8 rebounds and 6 assists. Big night for Kuzma. Tyus Jones finished with 24. He had a strong game. He was big late for them. And Daniel Gafford with a workmanlike effort, 16 points and 8 rebounds. The Wizards shot 50% from the floor for the game and connected on 12 of 30 from three-point range. So the issues continue for your Portland Trailblazers. Chauncey Billups, disappointed with the outcome.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed, that we waited so long to fight in this game. I'm disappointed about that, but I also got to raise my hand and say, I got to be better, getting us prepared, getting us ready, and, I gotta look myself in the mirror too. I can't it's not just on the guys, it's on all of us. We're a team.
All right, Chauncey also further talked about just frustration.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely frustrating. But like I said, I came in here a few times, and I tell y'all, with these records, I feel like we're better than our record. I feel like the Wizards are better than their record. And we're not good enough to think that we can beat anybody. We haven't proven that at all. So I just wish that we could come out with the mindset of just stopping people. And then, we worry about the offense whenever it comes. But it just didn't happen. So it's definitely frustrating to have that, to see that. And that's not to me, a game like this, that's not a young thing. We didn't start a young lineup. That's a focused thing, and we wasn't prepared for the speed and the way that they just get up and down and kind of play a pickup style brand of ball, but it works for them.
All right. The other question I have, and I don't really have the answer, but it's the slow starts. I mentioned the difficulty they're having getting their offense going early. Their defense has been rough over the last 5 games in the first half. Now, credit the Blazers for nutting up and getting back into games and putting themselves in a position to win, even in the Phoenix game where they were able to overcome the deficit and get the victory. But it would be nice if they could, put together 48 minutes instead of 24, a more complete game, get off to a better start, and not have to expend so much energy digging yourself out of the hole. And Billups was asked about the slow starts after the game. Here's what he had to say.
We talked about it all day. We tried to prepare the guys for it, knowing that the pace that they play is difficult. They get up and down and run, and they got a team full of shooters, so they're dangerous. And we tried to prepare our team for it, and they still came out and punched us in the mouth, which was disappointing. It really was. And then, we fought back, got back into the game, and hit some big shots in that fourth quarter. DA was big, he on the glass and scoring, but it wasn't going to be about offense in this game. It was going to be about our defense, and our defense just wasn't good enough.
All right, there's Chauncey Billups. I would agree the defense is the big issue, especially early in these first halves. Anthony Simons was also asked about the slow starts, and let's get his take on it and see what he thinks.
It's easy to say and done. We've been preaching getting off to great starts, and we are conscious of the bad starts should be getting in, digging ourselves a hole, and clawing out. And it's been every game we knew it. Like before this game, we was like we gotta start off fast. We got to, and it just hasn't happened. So trying to figure out a way to get everybody, at least the starters, riled up at the beginning of the game for us to get out to a good start.
All right. The Blazers, like we've seen throughout the course of the season, they did have a number of individuals step up to contribute, make game-winning plays, and put themselves in a position to win that game. Tamani Kamara had 4 points, 3 rebounds in nearly 18 minutes of action, but his defense and his energy Not what it had been, but still a willing defender, and he's such a key cog in their lineup and what they're trying to accomplish right now. Jeremy Grant, 32 minutes, 20 points, 4 assists. He was 6 of 14 shooting, 4 of 7 from downtown. Big props to DeAndre Ayton, back-to-back monster games for him. He played 34 minutes coming off his 40-minute performance against Phoenix. He finished with a double-double, 23 points, 16 rebounds. He added a couple of assists, and I really liked the way he played. He was helping to facilitate the offense, providing energy for the team. His last couple of games have been really nice. Anthony Simons, game-high 41 on 15 of 28 shooting. He was sensational from downtown, 7 of 14 from 3. Malcolm Brogdon, 7 points, 4 assists on 3 of 8 shooting in 27 minutes of action. Off the bench, another strong performance from Jabari Walker. I mean, the guy is swinging a big stick out there. He had 8 points, 11 rebounds in 23 minutes of action. And Duop Reef, like usual, about 10 minutes, 10 points, 4 of 7 from the field, made his only 3. And he's just been a nice addition and a very offensive-minded big who can knock down shots. I'm down. Scoot Henderson, not much from him, or 5 from the field, 4 points. He played just 26 minutes, and Matisse Thybulle, no scoring in 29 minutes of action, but his defense, once again, his energy, his effort, spot on. And hopefully they'll get more of that as they get ready for the game. Tonight, the Trailblazers, as I mentioned earlier, 16 turnovers. Not good enough. It led to 21 points for the Wizards. They've got to tighten things up in that department. But we've seen it now over the last couple of weeks. The three-point shooting starting to come around. Their field goal percentage is a little bit better. They were 45% in the game. So definitely some areas where they can improve. And we'll see how things shake out tonight. I do know that Wiggins is out tonight for the Warriors. Pajinski, he's very annoying. He is going to play. He's available. And we'll see how that works out for your Portland Trailblazers. Okay, we'll come back on game day. And when we do, I'm going to play a clip from Billups. It turned out to be controversial, and I'm not sure why. And if you have thoughts on that, 503-248-0620. So I'll play that for you next. Chris Burkhardt and Chad doing with you. Merry Christmas. It's Blazers game day. We're thrilled to be in here on a Saturday, hanging out with you. And tip-off with the Warriors and Blazers coming up at 5:30.
Now, back to Blazers Game Day, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, made to chill.
Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt with you. Yeah, the Blazers and Warriors coming up at 5:30. We're with you until 4:30, and then the principal, Curtis Long, will take over for your Trailblazer pregame show. All right, I'm going to play this clip. This is from Chauncey Billups after the game, and let's listen to it, and I want your thoughts on it. Is it a problem? Are you offended by what Coach Billups said? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let's take a listen to it, and then we can work through it, and I'll get Chris's thoughts on it as well. Here is Chauncey Billups after the Blazers' 1-point loss Thursday to the Wizards.
Defensively, obviously, Two is the guy. Today, the one thing I did different is I took him off of the ball and put him on Poole, knowing that that was going to be a problem area for us. But I thought me taking him off of the ball early hurt us a little bit because Ant and all the other guys, they don't pick up full with that type of pressure like Two does. That's his gift. And in the second half, I kind of switched the matchups back, and I said, Two, you know what, you pick up the ball, and you take Poole, just to see if it'll spark us some. I didn't think it wasn't a huge difference at the start of that third quarter. You know, I didn't think we had a great start. You know, it just wasn't poor, but it wasn't great. But, you know, that's something that I just got to keep coaching it, man. I got to be better about coaching it and getting us more prepared for the start of games, start of halves, and I will. I'll keep at it.
What about on that offensive side?
Well, on the offensive side, I think, you know, you want to kind of start the games and get the ball kind of moving. You know, we don't have like an alpha type dude on our team. That just is what it is. You know, we got some hell of a players, you know, some guys that are, you know, going to be all-stars in this league. But right now, we don't have that dude that you could just throw it to and he just kind of get us going for the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. We just don't have that. We got to do it collectively.
All right, there's Coach Billups. I want to play it again, and we got to write down exactly what he said to make sure this is not lost in translation. So let's take a listen again on alpha leadership.
What about on that offensive side?
Well, on the offensive side, I think, you know, you want to kind of start the games and get the ball kind of moving. You know, we don't have like an alpha type dude on our team. That just is what it is. You know, we got some hell of a players, you know, some guys that are, you know, going to be all-stars in this league. But right now, we don't have that dude that you could just throw it to and he just kind of get us going for the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. We just don't have that. We got to do it collectively.
All right. The exact phrase that Billups used was, we don't have an alpha type dude. An alpha type dude. Chris, I'll let you have the first crack at this. What do you think Chauncey Billups meant when he said we don't have an alpha type dude?
Does he have that guy on the court that he can just give the ball and say, go get me a bucket? Put the team on your back. Let's go to work. That's kind of how I say it. That and just be the pure leader in every locker room, on the court, off the court, and then especially during those games. I mean, Dame was that alpha, right? Because anything he did, he was going to grab the ball beginning of the game. You knew he was going to go off. It's a weird thing to say on a night that Ant went crazy, but again, you need to start those games early, and that's where you give it to your alpha. I get what he's saying, and then he tries to give it like that little bit of leeway, right? When he's like, you know, we don't have that alpha type dude yet. We have a couple guys who are going to be all-stars, you know, eventually. Like, gives himself some leeway. But, like, I get what he's saying. I think what's weird about it, and that people are clinging on to it, Chad, is, like, this is not stuff that you usually hear a coach say in a presser, right? Coaches say it all the time, and they let their team know it. But Coach, since day one, has been very forward. Like, what he says behind the door is what he says out there, too. So this is just kind of odd in that respect, but I don't know if he's wrong in his assertion of the team.
All right, here's what I think about what he said. One, I do not have an issue with what he said whatsoever because I think he's 100% correct. And I like the fact that Billups is not really a trained coach from the standpoint that he doesn't always use coach speak. He does sometimes, but there's a lot of times where if you listen closely to what he's saying, he's telling you the truth and what he really believes. So what I think is an alpha type dude. They don't have that guy because they traded him this past summer. They had the guy. His name's Damian Lillard. When I think of an alpha type dude, here's what I think. And we've heard Dame talk about this in the past. But the alpha type dudes that come to my mind are Kobe, MJ, Larry Bird. Pick any of the greats, Damian Lillard. And I remember there were times where Dame, he would start games out where he would look to get teammates involved and try to see what his guys had on any particular night when a game got underway. But there were times, too, where he knew that his team needed him to step up and be more aggressive on the offensive end, and that's where he'd look to attack. He would get to his spots, look for his shots to get the offense going. There were times where he knew my team needs me to step up and be the alpha right now and do what I do. And that's what alphas do. They can really get you going in the right direction in a hurry by being aggressive, by demanding the basketball, by, really looking to attack at different stages of the game. And while I think the Blazers have some good players, they don't have that alpha type. They don't. Now, the alpha type is not just someone that is going to be aggressive on the floor and look to get their buckets when their team needs them to, but it's usually also the person that is in control of the locker room. Someone who's a leader. He's considered the, position A on the team. It's usually your cornerstone, typically, for the most part. Dame would be a great example in Portland. B. Roy would be a great example. LaMarcus Aldridge would be a prime example of someone who was really good, all-star type player, but he was not an alpha. He was more passive. And I'm not saying that as a slight. I'm just saying that LaMarcus wouldn't demand the basketball to get his team out of a slump. And harder, too, when you play that position because you're relying upon guys to get you the basketball. So I have no issue with that. The only thing that was strange, I think, for a lot of people is that you normally don't have coaches saying that. And I think that's what Chris was alluding to. Coaches normally won't say that. But I think on this team, they're all well aware that they don't have that alpha type in the locker room. It's not like Chauncey was delivering shocking news or some type of revelation to his guys. They know. This is a rebuilding squad with a lot of young players. And look at the personality types on the team. We've talked about this a lot. Jeremy Grant is the OG.
Mm-hmm.
Well respected. But he's a passive, quiet type. He's not going to get up in someone's grill. That's not what he does. Anthony Simons, sensational offensive talent. But he's not an alpha. He's quiet. He's never going to get up in someone's face and be like, you need to do this or do that. That's just not the way he rolls.
I have never heard Ant with a loud voice. Like you had him in studio here a few weeks ago. I talked to him multiple times in the locker room over the years, and it's always just that nice and quiet. And he when you sit there and talk to Ant, you get relaxed. You don't get fired up. You get relaxed.
I think CJ had some alpha in him.
At times. He was quiet for most of the time, but he would snap when he needed to.
Yeah.
And I heard it more than once.
Yeah, he was chippy, and there was times where he would be aggressive and knew that that's what his team needed. So I don't have a problem with what Billups said. I think he's right, and I do think it helps when you're in those type of situations where you get off to a slow start, you're not really being aggressive, that intensity's not there. It's nice to have an alpha that you can turn to get things going. You look around the NBA, you know who the alpha is. The Blazers are playing one tonight. Steph Curry.
The alpha that the alphas follow.
It's a bad boy right there.
Yeah.
And then they've had more than one. Draymond is an alpha. He has a good sense for what his team needs and sometimes has no sense of what his team needs when he's getting booted out of games and suspended. But he would take it upon himself to play with energy, get guys going, hard foul, whatever it took, get up in a guy's face.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, too, like about Dame, and I don't think saying someone's an alpha or not is a knock by any means.
No, because not everyone is born that way.
It's like Kevin Durant. Like, I don't think Kevin Durant's a natural team leader because he doesn't have to be. He likes to play with someone else who can do that, so he can just go hoop, and he hoops better than just about anybody in the world. Yeah. But to your point about Dame and being an alpha and being able to flip that switch, Chad, like how many times did we watch when Dame was here? Did we watch Dame kind of go a little bit passive to try to get everyone else involved, like you said, and it wasn't happening? So he basically said, fine, rock's mine. And you would have had to pry it away from him in order to get it, because he's like, fine, I'm going to go get it done. I'm going to go get it done.
And that's what an alpha is. It's like, look, just give me the ball. I got this. Come hell or high water, I'm going to find a way to get us over the top. And that's not Jeremy Grant. That's not Anthony. I'm hoping the only guy that I see with that type of DNA is Scoot.
Scoot has a little bit of that, for sure. It's just he has
but
to
he
be able
can't
to hit
display
the shots
that
first.
yet. Yeah, he's not at that level game-wise. He's got the personality and the bravado to be that dog, that alpha-type dude, but he can't be that guy yet because his game doesn't match that. Yeah, it's going to take time for him.
Yeah, and to be fair to Ant too, man, he's played well recently, had a great game against the Wizards, and like being put into that position to go be the alpha.
Yeah,
he hasn't had to do that. He's been behind one of the best in the entire league, so he hasn't had to. And now they're asking him to, like that. You might even be able to read between the lines and say this was a little bit of Chauncey poking the bear, if you will, saying, "Hey, we don't have one yet. Which one of you is going to take this opportunity to be it?"
Well, I think another example of the alpha type dude who took the final shot Thursday for the Blazers.
JG.
Yeah, it was Jeremy Grant. If Dame's on the team, who's likely going to take the shot?
They're not even drawing it up. It was 99% of the time it was Dame, and the other 1% it was CJ.
Yeah, but now it's like Anthony? And if it's not Anthony, we want Grant to take it. We could have Malcolm try it. Like, there's not that one guy that you're just absolutely going to give the ball to.
Like, imagine if Dame wasn't that type of player and Stotts is writing up a play with 0.9 seconds left. He's like, do we give it to Dame? Do we give it to Farouk? Maybe Mo should take this shot.
Dude, and that's a good example. That was Dame's second year. The only guy on the floor that was capable of making that shot against the Rockets was Dame.
Yeah. No, I used names that weren't on that team, and 0.9 just popped out of my mouth.
No.
But still, like, in that situation, do you want Dame taking the shot or Nick Batum? You want Dame.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have an issue with it. I know what Chauncey's saying, and I'm glad he said it. It's true.
I think it's also interesting because, like, someone asked me in a Blazer team chat about, like, okay, who was the alpha on Chauncey's team that won the title in Detroit? Now, I would say Chauncey was probably the best player and the leader of that team, but they didn't have, like, that guy who was like, okay, go get me buckets right now, which is funny because what did Chauncey say? We have to do this as a collective, right? We have to do this as a collective. And that Pistons team won as a collective. Their number one point scorer was Rip Hamilton at like 17.5 per game. Chauncey right behind him, I believe it was. Like, then you had, Sheed at 13 points per game. Like, it was a collective team effort. Everyone would get you. Their biggest bucket getter was probably Rip. Like, when they needed a bucket, give the ball to Rip. But who was their alpha? That team beat you as a team, which I think is a unique way to win in this league as well.
Chauncey was their alpha.
Yeah, but still, you get what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying. If I had to choose one of that group, I would pick Chauncey.
Yeah, he was their best player. Rip was sweet though. I love that mask.
Rip was terrific. And Chauncey earned the nickname Big Shot Bob. He was no fear. He was big time. That Pistons team is a unique squad because they didn't have that outright superstar. Chauncey was a good player, but he wasn't, like Kobe big.
It's probably an unwritten code amongst PA announcers, but could we get Mason just one day to introduce him and your head coach, Chauncey Billups?
That'd be great. Yep. So, all right. Well, there you go. That's what Chauncey had to say.
What about on that offensive side?
Well, on the offensive side, I think, you want to kind of start the games and get the ball kind of moving. We don't have like an alpha type dude on our team. That's just is what it is. You know, we got some hell of a players, you know, some guys that are, you know, going to be all-stars in this league. But right now, we don't have that dude that you could just throw it to and he just kind of get us going for the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. We just don't have that. We got to do it collectively.
You know, sometimes when you read a quote without having heard the actual quote with your own ears, you can read things into it. Then you hear his tone and his demeanor, and you see what he looked like when he said it. He was not insulting anyone with what he had to say.
I mean, I'm jumping ahead in the show here, but all he said was a Coors Cold Hard Fact.
You're right. It's a Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. Made to chill. Oh, by the way, if you're considering going to any Target in the area today, you might want to reconsider. Burkhardt's got some shopping and details to take care of tonight. It's madness out there right now. The stores are madness.
Yeah, I'm going to be heading there before tip-off. It's just like you told me earlier, don't want to, but I have to.
I did. I pulled into the parking lot, and I parked like 2 miles away at the back of the parking lot, and I mentally had to walk myself through, okay, you're going to walk in there, and it's going to be chaos. There's going to be people everywhere, carts ramming into you, but you have to go in because you have things you need to purchase. It has to be done. I gave myself a little Chauncey Billups pep talk, and I decided to be an alpha, and I walked in, and I accomplished the mission and came out. And then I got on the road. The traffic was horrendous, and I'm like, great, that little trip to Target's going to make me late to the station, but I survived it. I had to do it. Just like you have to go out and take care of your business tonight. You got to do it, man. You got things to take care of. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve.
Do what you got to do.
You got 3 crazy girls expecting big things.
Big things.
Big. Oh, my goodness. All right, so if you're out and about, just patience will be required today. I can guarantee you. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. We'll come back, and I'll give you a scoreboard report and get you up to date on everything.
It's time for a Blazers Game Day scoreboard report, powered by Columbia Heating and Cooling, raising your expectations of comfort.
All right, busy day in sports. We start in college football with bowl season, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Right now, Georgia State on top of Utah State, 45-22, with 4:48 left in the fourth. Earlier finals, Duke over Troy 17-10 in the Birmingham Bowl. In the Camella Bowl, Northern Illinois tops Arkansas State 21-19, and Air Force Downs James Madison 31-21 in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Games coming up later on today, the 68 Ventures Bowl, South Alabama and Eastern Michigan at 4 on ESPN. Utah Northwestern in the Vegas Bowl, 4:30 on ABC. Utah favored by 7. And you got Coastal Carolina taking on San Jose State. In the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, San Jose State is favored by 9. Checking the NFL scoreboard. 2 games on tap today. 1 game is going on right now, third quarter in Pittsburgh. The Steelers hammering the Bengals by a score of 31-8. Coming up at 5 on the Peacock Network, the Chargers and Bills from Los Angeles and Buffalo, who's been on fire, 12.5-point favorites. Checking the NBA scoreboard, a lot of games scheduled for today. Coming up at 4 in Charlotte, Nuggets and Hornets. Denver favored by 10.5. Nuggets are 20-10 on the year. At 4, a good one in the East. Magic in Indiana to meet the Pacers. Indy favored by 2.5. Magic at 16-11. The Pacers at 14-13. At 4 down in New Orleans. Rockets and Pelicans. New Orleans favored by 7.5. 4:30 in Atlanta. Grizzlies and Hawks. At 4:30 in Brooklyn, the Nets and Pistons. As Detroit tries to make it 26 straight losses. Brooklyn favored by 9.5. 4:30 in Toronto. Raptors and Jazz. Toronto favored by 5.5. In Chicago at 5, Cavaliers and Bulls. Chicago a 5.5-point favorite. At 5 o'clock down in Oklahoma City, the Thunder and Lakers. Oklahoma City at 18-8. They're favored by 3.5. 5:30 down in Big D, Spurs and Mavericks. Dallas favored by 8.5. They're 16-12 on the year. The Spurs at 4-23. 5:30 down in San Francisco, Trailblazers and Warriors. Golden State favored by 8.5. Timberwolves and Kings from Sacramento coming up at 7. The Kings favored by 3.5. And 2 earlier finals. The Bucks continue to be on fire. 130-111 winners over the Knicks in New York. Giannis with 28 points, 7 boards, and 7 assists. And the Celtics destroy the Clippers in L.A. 145-108. Jason Tatum with 30 points. Checking the NBA standings right now. Boston continues to lead the East. They do so by a half game over the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee's won 7 straight. They're 9-1 in the last 10. And Philadelphia 2 games back. So the top 3 teams pretty clear right now in the East with Boston, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. The Magic 5.5 back at 16-11, followed by Miami and New York. In the Western Conference, the Minnesota Timberwolves at 21-6 lead the way. They're 2.5 games in front of Oklahoma City, who's sitting at 18-8. The Thunder have won 3 straight. The Nuggets at 20-10. They too are 2.5 games back. They've won 3 straight, followed by Sacramento, New Orleans, and the Clippers. And right now, the hottest team in basketball is the Milwaukee Bucks with that 7-game win streak. So crazy times in the world of sports right now. And we got big things coming up this weekend in the NFL with 3 games on Christmas. And all 3 of them are good games. So we're going to get a chance to see Patrick Mahomes taking on the Raiders. We'll see Jalen Hurts taking on the Giants. And you've got that barn burner at the nightcapper on Christmas with the Ravens and 49ers from Levi Stadium down in Santa Clara. All right, Chris Burkhardt, Chad doing with you. The Blazers and Warriors are coming up at 5:30. And Curtis Long will take over with your Trailblazer pregame show, which is coming up at 4:30. We were talking about alpha, or what Chauncey said, alpha-type dude on the team. One of the things that Anthony Simons was asked about after the game was taking on a leadership role. Here's what Ant had to say about that.
I mean, I feel like, today I was trying a little bit to get us going a little bit. They was giving me that pick and roll three, early in the game, and I just couldn't be able to, either knock them down. I was getting to the rim, so that kind of just took away. Obviously, we were struggling offensively and defensively at the time, too. So, those type of shots sometimes can, deflate the team, especially if you're not making them. So, just trying to figure out reading the game and figuring out what we need at the time, especially when we come out flat. Do I need to get everybody involved, or I need to just set the tone myself and go at it and be aggressive myself?
See, I like that. That's a great answer, and it's the proper answer. The alpha-type dude is going to keep shooting the basketball whether he's cold or not. He's going to do whatever he can to keep making shots. But I love Ant. 41 points. He was sensational in that game.
So Alfred Camino was an alpha? But
I don't know what he was. Half the time I'm like, what's he doing? Hey, Farouk, what are you doing right now? And why are you jacking up so many threes?
hitting the side of the backboard on his corner threes.
It's like, are you kidding me right now? Oh, my goodness gracious. In regards to the last play, Grant took the shot, did not make it. Here's what Simons had to say about the last play.
Obviously we played well, gave ourselves a chance to win the game. Unfortunately, I missed that layup, which this sucks. It's killing me. But like I said, in the last play, Jeremy is a great player. He gave him that much space, and I'm taking those chances every time. Even if I'm, have it going. JG is just that type of offensive player that can play in that type of space. Kuzma was all over on me. It was 4-on-4. He had the whole left side and get up a shot. So I think we living with that type of shot for us. Him having the ball and him having that much space.
I just thought of a perfect example of what an alpha type dude is. And I've heard the story, and I know it's true because Dwight was sitting right by the bench when it happened. But the Blazers were playing a game at the old Boston Garden back in the 80s when Larry Bird was playing. And those white clipboards that coaches carry around that they draw their plays on with the little marker? Well, Casey Jones started drawing up the play, and the Blazers had a lead of 1 or 2 at the time. And there was just a couple of seconds on the clock. And Larry Bird grabbed the clipboard out of the coach's hand. He said, "You want to win? Just give me the damn ball." And he threw the clipboard down, and they broke the huddle, and he went out and got the ball, put up a shot, and hit it at the buzzer. They won. That's alpha-type dude right there. Just give me the damn ball.
That's having stones is what that is.
I want to see Ant grab the clipboard out of Chauncey's hands and say, "Dude, just give me the ball." But he won't because that's not his personality. That's not who he is. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not being the alpha-type dude. Most of the guys in the NBA are not alpha-type dudes. They're just not. You got to be a specially wired dude to be that way.
Very. Kobe Bryant made an entire brand off of it. Mamba mentality.
Yeah, so, again, when you say that the Blazers don't have that alpha-type dude, it's not an insult. It's just, yeah, most teams don't. There aren't too many of those guys in the NBA.
There's not.
And there never has been. From generation to generation, those guys are few and far between. And that's part of going through a full rebuild when you trade away a franchise cornerstone. What you're trying to do right now is discover the next alpha-type dude. They may have it on the roster, they may not, but they're in the process of discovery right now. They're searching.
Even look at Dame, right? He's the easy go-to because we're so used to it. But, he was really good from the jump, but he didn't come in and Dame time wasn't a thing in November of his rookie year, right?
Yeah.
He built up to being that guy who has the ball in his hand ready to take a shot in the last second.
Yeah. Yeah, how many guys hit the ground rolling in that department? Even Kobe Bryant, at the end of his rookie year, was putting up air balls at the end of a playoff game against Utah. Now, he had the guts to take the shot, but he didn't come anywhere close. But in time, as the game develops, he'll be fine. I'm hoping that's what Scoop becomes, where he just starts to ascend, and it becomes very clear, like, oh, yeah, that's the A-type right there. That's the alpha. That's Scoot. But he's 19, and he's played, 17 games in his NBA career? It's not many. It's a process, Burkhardt.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. You want to jump on board, you can, 503-248-0620. We'll come back and we will give you our Coors Light cold hard facts. Blazers and Warriors coming up at 5:30.
You want the truth? It's time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts, presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, made to chill.
All right, Chris Burkhardt gave you a little preview of this earlier, but your cold hard fact, the Trailblazers do not have an alpha type dude.
What about on that offensive side?
Well, on the offensive side, I think, you want to kind of start the games and get the ball kind of moving. We don't have like a, an alpha type dude on our team. That's just is what it is. You know, we got some hell of a players, you know, some guys that are, you know, going to be all-stars in this league. But right now, we don't have that dude that you could just throw it to and he just kind of get us going for the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. We just don't have that. We got to do it collectively.
There you go. It's pretty simple. They don't have that dude. And I agree with Chauncey Billups. All right, telephone number is 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. You can reach out to us on Twitter. You'll find me there at Chad and Rip City. And, of course, you can check out our YouTube live stream. Go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. Checking the injury report for tonight, Shaden Sharp is out with the adductor soreness. Tamani Kamara is probable with that thumb sprain. We saw him, hurt himself late in that game against Washington, but he's going to be okay, and he'll be available for action tonight. So there you go. The Blazers, that means we'll probably see, Malcolm Brogdon again? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, Brogdon and Simons.
Shout out to Home Field in the chat over here. Believe that might be a member of our Trailcaster Discord, my podcast. There you go. Shameless plug. For coining the nickname, starting it here, Alpha Knee Simons. Made me chuckle.
I like it. You know what's cool? We're watching the famous Idaho Potato Bowl right now. It's up there in Boise. The Gatorade bath has taken on different forms over the years, but they got a different idea up there in Idaho, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Throw a tub of French fries on them.
I like that.
Yeah. Gatorade's big mad. They're like, no. That was our free sponsorship we were getting every single game.
And they do that at the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Good chance the coach will get doused, the winning coach, with Frosted Flakes. It's only appropriate to honor Tony Tiger the right way. Utah and Northwestern coming up in the Las Vegas Bowl. So that's where we're at. The Blazers and Warriors coming up tonight. And, this has been a team that's gotten the Blazers in a couple of close ones. So we'll see what the Blazers have tonight. The Warriors right now have been playing better of late. They're getting better offense from Klay Thompson. But the Blazers just, a week ago? Steph Curry didn't even hit a three, and they still couldn't win the game. It's crazy. Wiggins was a big-time player in the last meeting. He's not going to go tonight. So if they could, the problem is that even if they limit Klay Thompson, what are the odds that Steph Curry will have another game against Portland where he doesn't hit a three? It's probably pretty slim.
Did you see that? Did you see that video making the rounds on social from the other night with Chris Paul giving Klay the middle finger? It was pretty good.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, they're in the huddle. It was all in jest, like he wasn't like serious, right? But they're sitting there on the bench, and like you hear Chris like trying to get his attention, like Klay. Klay finally looks over and he just boom and just throws the bird right at him, and Klay just smiles and puts his head down. It's kind of funny.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I from everything I've heard, CP3's been a nice addition to that team in terms of how he's handled himself. Similar to what we're seeing with Brogdon here in Portland, where, legitimate NBA vets who have played at a high level, having to take on a lesser role than what they're accustomed to and embracing it. And I like seeing guys do that instead of becoming a problem, just going out there and embracing it and doing the job.
It's a smart thing to do because especially towards the end, you're going to add years. Look at Vince Carter. Vince Carter played into his early 40s because he's accepted his role, and he was really good even at the end for his role.
And he was playing a totally different style of game.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that a great deal. That's cool, man.
And he still had bounce. He still had bounce.
He still got one of the baddest dunks I've ever seen in a game.
I guess you're talking about the Olympic one?
Yeah. Jumping over a guy and teabagging him is pretty awesome.
And then I love how people gloss over, but he came like inches away from knocking Kevin Garnett out.
Yeah.
Because he turns around and just punches the air, and Garnett's right there to celebrate, and he like grazes his shoulder instead. But if he would have hit him in the face, he would have knocked KG out.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on Game Day. We'll come back and we'll step into the coach's corner. We got to hear from Chauncey Billups and all of his thoughts coming off that hideous loss to Washington. Warriors and Blazers coming up at 5:30 here on 620 Rip City Radio.
Time Jeep of Portland presents The Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups. Time for a brand new ride from Time Jeep of Portland. You won't believe the huge deals they're offering. With over 300 new and used vehicles to choose from, you'll find the perfect ride for your new adventure at Time Jeep. Find us just minutes away from the Moda Center off I-84 or visit timejeep.com. Drive with time.
All right, let's check in with Trailblazer coach Chauncey Billups following the Blazers' 1-point loss to the Wizards on Thursday.
Tonight with Ant coming off, or are you just looking for JG on a 4-on-4?
No. It was the same play we just ran before that when Ant got the dunk coming downhill. And several options on the play, and Jeremy just caught it and just kind of went one-on-one, which, I got to live with that. He's one of our best players. He's a great one-on-one player. He went on. The only thing that I would say, I wish he would have went a little sooner. Just in case he missed it, we got a chance for a tip back, but it took a little too long to get there. But obviously, it was a play that we ran before where we got the ball to Ant, he got downhill. We just didn't get it there.
You challenged the play with Jones, and before that there was a play where Ant was calling a foul. It looked like he got contacted to it. When Ant got called for a foul, the foul that Kuzma, did you consider that challenge in that?
I considered it, but once I kind of seen it, I figured it probably was.
How would you say you guys came out? Coach, it seems like these slow starts have been playing out first half and the first half.
Terrible. I mean, we tried to, we talked about it all day. We tried to prepare the guys for it, knowing that the pace that they play is difficult. I mean, they get up and down and run. And they got a team full of shooters, so they're dangerous. And we tried to prepare our team for it, and they still came out and punched us in the mouth. Which was disappointing. It really was. And then we fought back, got back into the game. And hit some big shots in that fourth quarter. Da was big. He on the glass and scoring. But it wasn't going to be about offense in this game. It was going to be about our defense. And our defense just wasn't good enough.
You said a couple of times that, obviously you guys are not focused as much on winning as you might be if you were considered a contender, but isn't it frustrating to lose to teams that on paper maybe should be when you play so well some of the time against teams that sometimes are favored by 10 or 12 against you?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely frustrating, but like I said, I came in here a few times and I tell y'all, with these records, I mean, shoot, I feel like we're better than our record. I feel like the Wizards are better than their record, and we're not good enough to think that we can beat anybody. We haven't proven that at all. So I just wish that we could come out with the mindset, of just stopping people, and then, we worry about the offense whenever it comes, but it just didn't happen. So it's definitely frustrating, to have that, to see that. And that's not to me, a game like this, that's not a young thing. We didn't start a young lineup. That's a focused thing, and we wasn't prepared for the speed and the way that they just get up and down and kind of play a pickup style brand of ball, but it works for them.
Johnson, do you need to have somebody pick up that mantle, or do you need to embolden somebody yourself in that starting lineup? Now, obviously, it's different with Bob as opposed to Shea normally, but like you said the other night, those guys are just kind of too cool and they want to work their way in their game. Is there anybody in that group that you can see not only offensively but defensively setting the tone for you to start games? Ant's a guy that likes to work his way in and get everybody else involved. JG picks his spots. How do you find that one guy to be the guy to kind of get you going in first quarters on both ends?
Well, I mean, defensively, obviously, two is the guy. Today, the one thing I did different is I took him off of the ball and put him on Poole, knowing that was going to be a problem area for us. But I thought, me taking him off of the ball early hurt us a little bit, because Ant and all the other guys, they don't pick up full with that type of pressure like Two does. That's his gift. And in the second half, I kind of switched the matchups back, and I said, Two, you pick up the ball, and you take Poole. just to see if it'll spark us some, And I didn't think it wasn't a huge difference at the start of that third quarter. I didn't think we had a great start. It just wasn't poor, but it wasn't great. But that's something that, I just got to keep coaching it, man. I got to be better about coaching it and getting us more prepared for the start of games, start of halves. And I will. I'll keep at it.
What about on that offensive side?
Well, on the offensive side, I think, you want to kind of start the games and get the ball kind of moving. We don't have like an alpha type dude on our team. That's just is what it is. We got some hell of a players, some guys that are, going to be all-stars in this league. But right now, we don't have that dude that you could just throw it to and he just kind of get us going, for the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. We just don't have that, so we got to do it collectively.
Last one.
You say you're usually reluctant to say anything to the team after the game, but you took a little longer to get here today. Was there a message delivered?
No, I didn't. There's a lot of times, the reasons why I don't speak because, games like this and just losses, period, it can be very emotional, and I know what I think I seen in the game. I just don't want to be wrong. I don't want to go in there and say something. When you say things, you can't take those things back. So yeah, I'm very disappointed. That we waited so long to fight in this game. I'm disappointed about that, but I also got to raise my hand and say, I got to be better. Getting us prepared, getting us ready, and I gotta look myself in the mirror too. I can't it's not just on the guys, it's on all of us. We're a team.
The best performing team requires the best workstations. What's the Scoot is brought to you by Office Furniture Reborn. Need desks, better office chairs, or just the right file cabinet? Office Furniture Reborn has a huge selection of colors and sizes to choose from. So drop by Office Furniture Reborn's huge showroom just off Pacific Highway in 217 or visit www.officefurniturereborn.com.
All right, time for What's the Scoot, and really not much to report on Scoot Henderson coming off the previous game against the Washington Wizards. Not much of an impact. 26 minutes of action, 4 points and 2 assists. He was 0 of 5 from the field, scored all of his points at the foul line. So for Scoot, it's the same process that we continue to talk about. There's going to be highs and lows throughout the course of his rookie year. He just has to continue to pay attention to film, what his coaches are saying, his teammates, and continue to grind, putting in work by himself, listening to details from his coaches, that he can continue to work on and just play. Unfortunately, he needs more playing time. He needs to be able to be on the floor to get a better feel for things, so that the game can slow down a little bit for him. And the shooting is something that's going to take some time, but he just needs more time. He's going to be fine. What I do know and what I continue to hear is that his work ethic, his attitude, and his approach is proper. And that's what you want to see from a 19-year-old, putting in the time and doing all the little detail type things that you need to improve. But with his physical skill and that type of work ethic, I am hopeful that we're going to see him, really start to ascend and pop. The problem is it's not happening as quickly as everyone would like because we want immediate gratification for our sports teams. But for Scoot right now, he's just got to make the most of the time he's got on the floor. I would expect tonight that he will once again come off the bench. Malcolm Brogdon will start next to Anthony Simons. And I think it was Dwight the other day made a good point. With Brogdon, it's kind of a two-pronged deal. One, starting Brogdon and giving him minutes right now, you're kind of doing right by Brogdon for the way he has operated as a professional since he arrived. He's been terrific with the youngsters. He's accepted his role. Not only has he not caused any issues, but he's been terrific. He's added to the locker room. He's added to the culture. He's exceeded my expectation in every way. I knew he was a good dude and a good player, but, a lot of guys who come over from Boston competing for a championship and all of a sudden you're a vet backing up a rook, you might not think that's pretty cool, but he embraced it. And then with the injuries, he was able to, get that starting spot back. I really like him. So you do it to do right by him because of the way he is operated, but also, let's be real, playing him's not bad because other teams get a look at him, and he'll be a valuable piece come deadline time. I mean, can you imagine how many of those contending teams out there will be hard up for a guy like Malcolm Brogdon?
No, yeah. If I'm in the playoff run, I want a guy like that.
Me too.
You know who he'd be really good on just because the way he plays, but I think he'd fit into a Denver lineup really, really well.
Oh, they'd be a united team with him. And they could use a guy like that. Who was they lost one of their bench guys. Who was the guy that came off the bench for them last year that was really good that's now elsewhere? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just can't remember everyone's name all at once. Let's see here. The 23 Denver Nuggets. All right, let's take a look here. As soon as I see the name, I'll know it. Is it Brown? Bruce Brown? I didn't even need to see the roster. Yeah, they lost a guy like that. A guy like Malcolm Brogdon would be perfect for him, right? Yeah, Bruce Brown, who I thought was pretty key for them at different stretches.
Yeah, I don't know what they would trade for him or whatnot. I'm just saying a team that he'd be good on. Yeah.
Oh, because Cronin ain't going to give him up for nothing.
No.
Yeah, you can have Brogdon, but you got to pay up. You got to pay up because we know what he's worth. He's valuable. And this is the key. We know what he can do game-wise. He can get into the teeth of the defense in the paint very easy, smart, knows what to do with the basketball. But if a guy will enhance the culture of a young rebuilding team, what do you think a guy like that does for a established championship contender? Probably makes him better.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably makes him a lot better. Who else? Who are the other contenders where he'd fit? I agree with your assessment there, Burkhardt. Who else would he be a good fit with?
I think the obvious, Miami makes sense. I don't know about Philly.
Do you put Miami in the contending category?
I mean, they're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, you're right.
Any playoff team's going to want him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Obviously, Boston's out of that question because got rid of him for Drew, which was an upgrade there. That one makes sense.
Yeah, there'll be teams. Denver would really like a guy like that.
Yeah, Denver makes a lot of sense.
Not that Denver needs enhancements to their roster to make them any better. It's a pretty darn good basketball team.
Be interested in a team that you don't even think of who makes moves right now, but he wouldn't be bad for Minnesota, who's playing incredible right now.
Oh. This is one thing I was thinking about. In fact, who was it the other day? I was talking with someone, buddy of mine. And, in the NBA, normally the championship contenders don't always go balls out early in the year, right? What I'm curious about on both sides, East and West, Burkhardt, I want to know how serious Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and Sacramento are. And in the East, I'm really curious about Philadelphia and Orlando. I just want to know, those are different types of teams, but they're playing really good ball. Is that going to translate to playoff hoop? That's what I want to know. That's what I'm curious about.
We shall see. We shall see.
Don't you think Sacramento's experience last year in that 7-game thriller with Golden State, that's got to help them when they get back to the playoffs this year?
That's the narrative we're told. Playoff experience matters.
What's that word? Alpha type dude. Alpha type dude. All right, we'll come back. We'll give you
It's time for Chad Doing's Keys to the Game, brought to you by Gresham Toyota. At Gresham Toyota, we stand behind our commitment to have the best Toyota pricing in Oregon with our Swickard Price Promise.
All right, keys to the game, very simple for me. Get off to a fast start, playing with energy and intensity and focus, and really zero in on the defense. Those numbers in the first halves over the last 5 games have been terrible. And the Blazers, as we've mentioned time and time again, are not good enough to overcome big deficits. 69, 74, 55, 61, and 67. That's how many points they've given up in the first half in each of the last 5 games. You got to come out ready to roll tonight against the Warriors. Burkhardt, what you looking for tonight?
Just a fast start. That's what I've asked for every single game and haven't got, and that's all I really want is a fast start.
That's right. Ants in your pants. Get after it. Okay, that's going to do it for us for now. Curtis Long, the principal, has got your Trailblazer pregame show coming up next, along with the captain, Rich Patterson. Tip-off, Travis Demers and Michael Holton on the call, coming up at 5:30. After the game, Chris Burkhardt and I will be back for the 5th quarter right here on 620 Rip City Radio. Enjoy the game, my friends.
Up and get on up for the downstroke. Yes! Let's get out of here.